What's up, Jada?
Hi, Trey.
What's going on? What's that? There's a is that the Barbie movie?
What?
Where it's like
hi, Barbie.
hi, Ken. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what
That was the best part of the movie.
I didn't see the movie.
I didn't even. I literally got through 27 minutes of the movie, and I said, "How is this a cultural being? It's horrible."
Oh no.
But I'm a Bratz person anyway. I mean, no hate to Barbie. It was definitely my fair
Money's
share
on
of
that
Barbie.
shit.
Went through a Barbie era. But I'm a Bratz person anyway. The Bratz movie is just undeniably amazing.
That is, every time I hear you say my name, hi Trey, that's what I think of.
Hi, Barbie. Yeah, that was a cool part.
I couldn't put a finger on what
They
that
ate
was.
with that. That was a cool part. I like seeing all the different Barbies. That was actually cool and nostalgic.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Yeah, that was cool. But after that, I didn't like it. It got weird.
Oh no.
Why is Barbie going to the gynecologist?
Yeah, I think it was more for the adults.
It was, but it's you can't. But if you're gonna it's just the marketing wasn't right. Because it seemed like they were still trying to pull into the kids.
Yeah.
But then you get there and the movie is just a mix up of what in the world is going on.
Yeah. I didn't see it, so I can't even give my opinion on it. But every time you said hi Trey, that's what I think of.
Yeah, that's the cute part.
Yeah.
That's cute. Hi Barbie. Hi Trey.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 9 of Coming Down and Building Up. Yeah.
Roller coaster.
Yes, a roller coaster for sure. So thank you guys for tuning in. Pause if you need to, reflect if you need to, take your time on it. Unfortunately, we can't do that, but you guys can. Hopefully there's no pausing. Oh, I just can't. But anyways. I feel like this was such an important thing to touch on, discuss, because it's so relevant to us right now and just our lives and where we're at. It's I think everybody can relate to. Well, I think everybody can relate, but I think that's where we come in and we put into a special tense of where people can actually see the value in it and actually understand and connect with us on that topic.
Right.
And I guess specifically it's involving pursuing your dreams and going after what you want, and even just changes in your life. I think we want things to go great in our lives and to prosper and elevate and advance and move forward in life in general, but sometimes that's just not how it works, and that's not how real life works. So kind of wanted to touch into that and discuss that and talk about that.
As kids, we kind of see dreams and see them as this very, very, very attainable thing.
Right.
And then
that is so true. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, no, it's very attainable. And then as time goes on, factors go on, you learn more about your specific dream field.
Yeah.
Things start to alter and change that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a tricky battle trying to kind of stay kind of true to what you think that you're called to do.
Yeah.
And minus everybody else trying to kind of pull you into different directions because they see something different for you.
Right.
Whether it be your friends, whether it be your family.
Right.
It's just definitely really interesting. And then it's a very, very intricate thing because what you may think your dream is, your natural abilities might be aligned with something else.
Yeah. I've been there. Hello.
It's definitely a very intricate topic.
No, for sure. And it's so funny that you brought up you being a kid and thinking that it's so obtainable, and it's man, I guess just the sense of who you are and who you want to become is just so effortless, in the dreaming process of yep, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna be this and this is what I'm gonna do. Especially growing up with just a supportive household. For me, my parents always told me you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Anything,
Same here.
Anything you want to put your mind to, you
Same
can do.
Here.
And so I think as a kid, I took that and ran. I wanted to be an actor for the longest time. And we talked about that in the exclusive interview. And over time, I feel that just changed. But whatever it was, I still had it in my mind of okay, no, I can absolutely do this. I feel as life went on and you just started rolling into becoming an adult, it's is this really that obtainable, as I thought it was as if where you were a kid. So it's so crazy that you brought up, kids, we just dreamed and we want these things, and this is what we want our lives to look like. And I almost feel like in pursuing your dreams, you have to have that same mindset.
Yes.
And we talk about like you have to be so delusional in that process of just like pursuing and going after, you know, what it is you want. But I think that's a good way for people to look at it. Like, revert back to that kid mindset, and even if it's not the same thing, or if it's changed over time,
still have to have that same energy.
Energy towards it. Yeah, and I think energy is so real when you are just pursuing your dreams and going after what it is that you want.
Absolutely. And then also there's motive in our school system in general of like, okay, yeah, entrepreneurship is really cool, but we still need people to do other things and be in different fields, medical fields, do this, that, and the third, ABCD. Right. Like, you get paid, you have more stability if you do something more safe.
Yeah.
Especially with us going to the university that we went to. Like, it's not a communication, liberal arts-esque school at all.
Right.
They have the programs. They have the equipment, but it's not like known there. Like, you go to ODU to become a dentist or a nurse, or like an engineer. It's definitely a school for that. Right. So when like that's being like displayed all the time of like people doing that, or even things with tech like cybersecurity and things of that nature, it's like, oh wow, these fields will help me and pay for the lifestyle that I want. But like it kind of turns off that, you know, creativity,
that dream aspect,
because it's like, okay, yeah, my friends are going to be doing this. They're gonna be working for these companies. It's like, dang, like I'm alright in math, maybe I can like do something. It's like, no, it's not what you were called on earth to do. Maybe they were called to do that. So it's just a lot of parts that go into it, like the things that you see, and like it just what success looks like for others too, and that being a comparative thing for you, that could be detrimental as well.
Absolutely. I think the comparison piece is definitely something that will hinder you and block you from what you're actually supposed to be doing. When we were just talking about how your dream thing kind of fades, I thought of like almost like an old school like radio, and you know, you had like two sides of the, and you probably know better, you probably know this more better than I do, but
FM and AM.
You got two sides to it, and I almost think of it like you're turning down the dream part, and okay, let's turn up reality a little bit. Let's lock into what that really is. You don't need so much of this, let's turn up this, and it's probably on that FM side because it's more that than that.
Right.
So
a lot of people are now on AM no more.
They're
on FM.
They're on the FM, and I think it's the same.
A great scenario.
I think it's the same case for reality. Comparison. I think you're turning up your reality a little bit more, and it's like, okay, dreams might not be this, but I'm trying to crank them both up.
Right.
And I know you can't listen to them both at the same time.
You can't.
So I want the dream also to be turned up as well as the reality, because I'm trying to take that dream into the reality.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was a great comparison. Good
job.
job.
But that's what I thought of when we talked about turning it down almost a little bit.
Yeah. It's true. It's real. And like as progressive and as liberal as America may seem right now, a lot of that stuff isn't really taken into effect right now. It's not the best place for the creative right now. Like,
why do you say that?
Social media aside, like, cool if there's a model for that, to do the brands and all this and third. Even with podcasting, there's a lot of great examples of things that you can take from creative wise and whatnot. But when it comes to a person who doesn't know from scratch what they want to do, it could be really difficult, and it could be scary to go into that and leap into that, especially when you don't know what your niche is. And I don't feel like a lot of people talk about that part, but we're going to get into the, you know, the comebacks or the come downs and coming up and figuring yourself out. I just think that there could be a little bit more discussion on, it's okay if you don't have it figured out, but you need to go towards it, and you know, still try to like figure out what you're here for. And I think that's why it was so important for us to like have this discussion, because like you said, it's not talked about like enough. Not those initial stages, those scary stages of like, I know I should be doing something different, but like I just don't even know where to start or where to look at. Like, oh my god, I only like these things. Are these things even cool? I'm seeing all these things, all these analytics of what people are doing. I don't think I'm aligned with the trends. I don't think I'm here. I don't think I'm there. It's like a lot of questioning when it goes into you even thinking about doing something of a creative nature in today's day and age, and they don't talk about that part enough.
They do not. And I think that's why I push so hard that new piece or segment for my page is like the producer's cut of kind of just like behind the scenes of just seeing things that are just, I'm figuring it out, you know what I mean? I'm figuring out, I'm really honing in on what I have and what I feel like God has called me to do, and that process isn't talked about enough. And I think that brings a lot of relatability for people that are out there looking to pursue whatever it is that they are trying to walk into, and even if it's not aligned and it's not like the same tense of like, hey, this is exactly what you're called to do, it's still an example or someone in pursuit of what it is that they really want out of life. So I definitely agree. Not enough of that is showcased. It's kind of like what you talked about the other day, where somebody you hear all the beginning success stories of, I was sleeping in my car, I was doing this, I was doing that, and like you hear all those things, but you don't get the middle part.
You don't get the middle
Show
part.
me the middle.
You just don't get it. And then I love people like Gary Vee. Like all those like questionnaires that I see all the time, where like people are asking about his business, they crying and coming up to him. He's like, just fucking start. And it's like, for a person to hear that, like I know the person that's probably listening to that and being like, where do I start? And it's like, yes, I want to start, but like, where do I start? How do I start? What resources should I be looking into? What friends should I align myself with that are gonna like be around during the start, or have already been through that? Like start, but it's like, where do you start? And people can't be scared of that.
And so, I think what makes that so challenging too is that everybody's journey is different. And I think you really have to look at, I mean, I'm not saying compare yourself, but I don't think it's nothing wrong with having role models or inspirations of people that you kind of like look up to that are kind of in the similar field or area that you're in. And I don't think that you should try to recreate what it is that they're doing, but just go back and look at, like, go back all the way back to when they first started and when they were beginning. What advice were they giving out? What struggles were they experiencing? Because I think we look at these things as we're trying to pursue them and get through them, and like, man, this stuff is so tough, and it's an individual journey, but there are people that went and experienced those things as well. It just might not have been documented, it might not have been talked about like that. And I think that's why that producer's cut is so important for me, and I want to push more of that, but also keep my sanity at the same time. So but that is so real. I didn't even think about that. People just saying like, where do I start?
So a lot of people saying like, just take your resources and just start it, but a lot of people just don't know.
And for me, like, it was really it was making a plan, but it was going off of what really felt right and what was flowing. But if an individual told me, hey, where do I start, I probably could give them an idea of where that should be, of where they should start, but I don't know if there's any general advice that I would say. One that does come to mind is Nehemiah Davis. I hear him say this so much: commit first and figure out the rest later. To jump in and figure out the rest later. And that's exactly what I did for LM. I jumped in and I figured out the rest later. I literally put out the little cover that we did for LM, of just like starting it and always working with brands and how I got started, and not even knowing that was something that I was like pursuing or doing. Launched the website, had the social media stuff going, and I remember talking to G and I was like, okay, what the hell do I do now? You know what I mean? But I think it made it that much more real to pursue it and go after it and do it, because I jumped out there and I committed to it, and then I'm like, okay, we'll figure out the rest. We'll develop the roadmap and business plan of what is next. But I know I have gifts and talents here. There's no way that I don't have them, and I've been able to help these people. So that would be my general advice for people. I know people just saying, just start, just do it. Jump out there and then figure out the rest later. What are some of your gifts and talents that you're really good at that you think people would find value in?
More on Gary Vee. I just think that it's cool. Like his first like initial thing with social media, he used to like review wine. That was his first YouTube.
Yeah.
That's so like crazy to think about.
Like, well, he started out working for his dad.
Yeah.
He started out working for his dad, and I think he was in charge of like inventory or something like that. But he was like working, I don't know if it was like a wine cellar or wine store or something like that. But he was making good and decent money, and I think he was like recording and documenting that process as he was doing that, and then just like gained gems for himself, and then documented that process. He is one of the best to do it, and documenting processes and just being blunt and straightforward.
Yeah,
and he's a great example of doing it and not caring what anyone thinks.
Yeah, that's the part.
The languages that he uses, and he's cursing and whatever, and he's like, I don't care. Like, I do not care. Maybe it's not for you, but this makes me, and that's a part of like my brand and who I am, and that's what I'm gonna do. Stop worrying about what the algorithm, not algorithm, but what your feed looks like, the display of it. Nobody cares. What is the content that you're posting on social media? How many times are you posting on social media? And he's literally all about what it is that you're putting out, and are you putting out enough?
It's just a great example. For
he's
anything
awesome.
of this nature. Just coming from using what he already did, using his regular job and cultivating it up to the ultimate entrepreneurship model. But it's plenty of examples out there. I just used that one as the first one that came to my mind, but there's more to the start, and it's okay if you don't know where, but figure it out.
And it will come to you at the right time. I think that's the most important thing too. I think people want to jump out there and do something, and they're not really sure of, hey, is this my time to do it? I feel like you will know, and there will be no doubt that it's the right time to do it and pursue it. For sure. What are the challenges for like pursuing dreams, or do you feel like are
where do we start? You have a lot more expertise in this right now. You're trying to make this like your complete 9 to 5, but I feel like one major thing that people it's two major things. It's time, and then it's money. I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they have the time to put all their efforts in, because a lot of people are type A, and when you're type A and things aren't going your way, then you fucking hate it, and you want to throw it away, you want to scratch it, and then you think about it whenever you think that you have the time. A lot of people don't end up with the time that they really think that they need, right? So then you don't start it at all. So definitely time is a thing, and just saying that you don't have time, because you can definitely make time for what you want. I agree. So you have anything on
so challenges and money? I'm sorry.
Let's do time first, and we'll talk about money.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, anything on time? Oh, absolutely. I have started structuring my calendar to a way of like, at any point in time of the day, not since we've been like filming, but any point in time of the day, I've always have something that is allotted on my calendar that I need to be knocking out or doing, and I think that just makes great use of my time and what it is that I got to get done. And when you're starting out in the beginning, it's very challenging to find the right time to do everything that is on your list, and so I find that working on my schedule a week, maybe like Saturday, I plan it out Saturday or Sunday, kind of get the gears rolling on Saturday, but definitely have it implemented and stuff on Sunday, and plan out everything from that week, from my meetings to my calls, to events, and items that I need to take on and do, designing, editing, what else am I responsible for? Shooting, filming, all those moving pieces, they literally have time slots on my calendar, and so I'm always doing something throughout my day to make sure that I get those items and things done. But what I struggle with that on the calendar piece is, if I don't get something done, I am going to beat myself up about it. So just trying to give myself grace. Have to understand that it's just a reference for me, and that it can go out of order, or you can push things back or whatever. But that specifically has helped me in terms of getting everything done. And I still don't feel like I have enough time. And then so like I've even pushed it now to like getting up a little bit earlier and starting my day earlier, so I just have more time to knock out more things and items. Yeah. So time is definitely like of the essence, and I get it completely. I told my braider, I said, next year you'll be coming to the house and I'll be working while you're doing my hair, because I cannot. Amazing. I cannot. And like I post on Instagram like with my computer, and like I'm sitting in the chair and I'm editing content, or you know, typing emails or whatever, but to just always make sure that I'm like getting ahead, because it's easy for you to fall behind, in my sense.
I'm gonna add one. It's gonna be time, effort, and money. It's definitely something that you kind of brushed on with me, especially when I was doing content back like a couple months back. I want you to expunge on, you know, the effort that people put into their 9-to-5s, and how it should be equal or more put into their actual dream or their actual business. And like how differentiating that could be beneficial to them.
You're talking about taking bits and pieces from
bits and pieces, and just bits and pieces. That's a great point. Bits and pieces from the models of the jobs. We've definitely talked about that, but just also just in general, like you don't have you feel like you don't have the energy for your actual business versus your job,
right?
Putting all your energy into that just because it's making you money.
Absolutely.
I think you should definitely expunge on that.
So, and the job that I used to work, it wasn't, you know, a 9-to-5, but I know a lot of people like work 9-to-5s or 8-to-4.
Whenever you work, your full-time job, your full-time gig.
That 8 hours a day that you're there, you know, busting out work for other companies or employers. For me personally, and my job, it involved a lot of creativity, involved a lot of finesse, and just being on your toes, you know, all the time. And to me, that was, I loved it, but at the same time, it was also draining, because I was also trying to pursue LM, line management. And with that, I was finding that it just wasn't getting the attention that it really needed. And even some of my clients have spoke to that as well. Just they can tell when I was a little busy, and it's kind of shifted a little bit, and I had to respect that, and you know, make some decisions. So for me, it was absolutely necessary to take the leap, to leave my job where I had, you know, some security, to actually fully pursue and take on, you know, my dreams. But it really was that creativity piece that I wasn't able to tap into. The time that I have now, I would not exchange and trade for anything at all. I wouldn't, because I have so much that I can do with my creativity, so much that I can help and service other people. And I'm really tapped into what I feel like I was called here to do. And it's so funny because like even like we're working like the 9-to-5, I would even do like different designs and, you know, signage and things like that for like the events that we had. Like, yo, you're really good at this. Like, you know, have you ever thought about doing marketing or graphic design? And I'm like, you know, I've always like been able to like do my own thing. And even in high school, taking like classes in Photoshop and what else? Illustrator, all the Adobe platforms. But I've been designing for so long, right about 10 years, like crazy to even think about. And then the other part too, from just working, you know, a job, I tell my friends all the time, because I feel like I feel like it kind of stemmed from what my dad has said. You know, he says that jobs pay you just enough to keep you coming back each week. And that really stuck with me, because that tells me you're not paying me enough for me to get ahead in life, unless I'm making some sacrifices or I'm saving something. But you're paying me just enough so I can spend this money, pay for what I need, my basic needs, and then I'm coming back to work so you can keep me at that job. And so what I took from that was, okay, besides money, what is that job? What am I taking from that job besides a paycheck? What are the skills? What are the talents? What are the connections? What are the things that I'm really honing in on and I'm really putting in my inventory that I can take and use and go to the next job that's going to pay me more money, or that I can take and pursue a dream or a business or an opportunity? What is it that job is giving me access to?
Yeah.
And I've always thought like that, and now I think like that for the business. okay, what is this client teaching me right now? What is this business opportunity showing me? Why did that not work out? What am I taking from this? What am I taking from this experience? Even with shooting this podcast yesterday, we just made a list of all the items and things that we would do better to improve on and to get better at. So it's always something that you can take from. And even if you're not at a job anymore and you are in this entrepreneurship field and you're pursuing a business, there's something that you're able to take from your decisions or calls that you are making, or feedback that you can add to your inventory to improve and get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You kind of touched on money a little bit, but I kind of want you to just touch on that a little bit more on like different people and how they probably feel like they don't have the funds to start their business and just enough money saved up in general to just kind of start and be successful starting off. We already talked about it, kind of how that's not unrealistic. It'd be great to have money. Depends on the business that you are going into or what you're trying to pursue.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of talk about that type of person who thinks that their kind of funds are kind of tied up and they can't really use them the way they want to for their creative side.
Yeah. I think just having that plan of what it is that your business is going to go into and what you're looking to do, and just do your research. You don't have to commit or subscribe to something to get an idea of what things will cost in order for you to actually pursue things. So I would say do all of your research and figure out what it is that you would like to do or pursue when it comes to your dream or your business. And I'm not even just talking about entrepreneurs here. I'm talking about dreams as well. If you want to move to Atlanta and become an actor, get the whole rundown of items and things that you think that you would need to go on and take and pursue that. What is the apartment going to cost? What does the car look like? What does the insurance look like for that place that you're staying at? If it is, a studio, how much does a studio cost? How much is the equipment to do that? How much do you have to pay these people? And really get an idea. And not even so much, people are like, oh, I don't want to write that down. That's just going to discourage myself. Well, you're probably going to go down the wrong path if you don't have an idea of what it is that you're trying to do. So, and then writing things out and making it clear, you're also manifesting at that point, because when you're writing out what it is that you want to pursue and you are giving off all of those feelings and emotions. When you are writing those things down, you are putting that out into the atmosphere and sharing those things of this is what I want to take on. So I think first it's just having a plan of what it is that you want to pursue, and then what are your gifts and your talents? So what can you do, or what can you go back to? Can you serve? Waiting tables, can you work somewhere like it? You have to really figure out like what have you done in your life, because I truly believe that God gives us everything that we need in our lives to pursue what he's called us to do. And if you don't feel like you have it, I don't think you're searching deep enough. So
deep at the end.
just lock in to what's around you and what are your tools and your resources, and then I think you'll have it figured out. And if you don't have it fully figured out, you'll have partial pieces of it figured out. And you're not supposed to see the whole plan, right? You can have a plan. I have a plan, right, for my business and what it is that I want. It does not mean that plan is going to go like that. It's simple to the schedule that we just talked about. My schedule can be out of order. Something can be missed, or it can be down later at the line. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a direction of where it is I'm going. So the plan is for a direction, and then you figure out the rest as you go along, and it changes and it alters. That's okay. That is okay. But what do you have that you can use to fund that dream, or what can you go back to? And it might got to be some sacrifices. You might not be able to go somewhere with your friends.
Right.
You might got to downsize your apartment to a 1-bedroom. You might got to sell that nice car that you got to ride around in something that's not as nice. So what are you willing to do to get you to where you want to be? Yeah. What are you willing to sacrifice? And sometimes God will put you in a position so he can see how serious you are about pursuing your dreams and what it is that you want. And he sees you making actions and things. Oh, best believe Big G gonna follow up with it. He's gonna follow up with it every time if you are making the right decisions. And pull him into all of that. Pull him into your business plan. Pull him into how you're going to get your resources and things that you need to pursue that dream of yours. Pull him into all of that. So that's my advice that I have to people, is to really hone in on what you got, write out that plan, and it'll come full force for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the person before they start that business. Let's talk about the person who is now in it. And they may be dealing with some setback, or they may be dealing with challenges that are coming, that are arising, that they didn't even think about before they started. What are some of the advice that you would give to that person?
Yeah. Have that list of prioritizing things. I just text our operation advisor and I said, hey, I got 4 things on my list right now. They're all very important to me. I do want to get these done. I am not in a mental capacity to think through these things right now. I need your assistance. We talked about this on the other episode, having people surround you that are similar or pursuing the same things.
It's very important.
I think that it slows down the crazy, because you will go crazy a little bit. I think you have to be a little crazy to pursue anything that you want, and something that you see that others don't see. And so I think when you find people who are similar in that space and who are also pursuing things as well, you're accompanied with someone and you don't feel as crazy. You don't feel like you're going insane. And so, my best friend has been that for me, and has assisted me and helped me with those things. But I definitely think a list, a schedule is so important. And for my type A people, type A to type A, I feel you. Like, it is going to be tough. It is going to be challenging. When things are not going your way, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to feel like breaking down. But that is all a part of the growth and the path that God has you on. So even though it may sound crazy, even in the uncertain or not most confident times, embrace all of that, because before you know it, it'll be different for you. And you'll be like, man, I remember when I was just trying to piece it together and figure out the right now, and look how much it has grown. So I know that sounds weird, but even in the unfamiliar stage or the uncertain stage of just trying to figure it out and go through all these challenges and things that are being thrown at you, embrace that right now. And it sounds so weird to say, what do you mean embrace my challenges? But if these are your challenges,
what are some of the things that you do in general when you are going through those challenging things to kind of uplift yourself? I feel like everybody can use different examples of that. What are some of the things that you do? I know, but for the viewers, what do you do?
Before we even sat down and started filming today, I was listening to some gospel music. Okay. I pretty much did all the things that I was talking about. I called my friend that's in Cali. We just had a conversation and we just talked about God and different things, relationships, and just all pieces, kind of just decompressed. And so that's why I say that it's so important to have people around you that are similar and that are pursuing the same path as you and that get the dream. They don't have to understand your dream fully, but they are on the pursuit, pursuing something greater than where they're at right now as well. So they're able to just, sympathize with you in that moment. Essential oils is the thing that I love. I feel like that grounds me as well, different scents. And if you guys don't know, go read them and look them up. Different essential oils actually do certain things to you. So there's ones for headaches. There's ones for, I said headaches already. There's ones for calming, your mind. There's certain ones for stress relief. If you need to feel grounded, there's also ones for that as well. So there's so many things, but it's really up to the individual of whatever brings them comfort at that time. Listening to vibrations is also another thing for me. If I have a headache, I'm putting on vibrations. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm putting on vibrations, ocean sounds, anything that's going to bring me down and relax me. Another thing too, and I've said this to you so many times on a call, you have to understand where you are, and in knowing that when you are pursuing your dreams and going after things, there are going to be times of where, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but your mind is trying to play tricks on you. You know what I mean? Like it really just interrupt what you have going on. Just getting certain news while you're going about having your day, and you can wake up and say, hey, I'm gonna keep it P today. I'm gonna keep it positive. It's gonna be one of those great days. We have our list that we have to knock out for the day. We're gonna take this on, and then things just start happening and things are just thrown at you. You getting different calls and different things, and they're trying to interrupt what you have going on for the day, so you don't lock in and pursue and get everything done that you set out that you were going to do. And I told Jada, like, we were on the call, I'm like, yep, I just got a phone call. I said, but do you see this? Do you see this right here? This is my space and my bubble. This is me and God's space right here. Anything outside of that, I can't deal with it right now. I can't deal with it right now, because he has that armor on me, around me right now, and he's going to take care of anything else that's outside of that. Now, if he say, hey son, you got to go and take this on head on right now and deal with this, I will do that. But right now I have my list of things and items that he set out for me to do and that he's called me to do. So that is another thing too. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's where I put myself mentally. Like, I have to know that these are the items and things that we're tackling for the day, and that anything outside of that could be a distraction or sent to throw me off for the day. So that was a great question. What are some of the things that you do to keep you centered and sane around that time? Those are the things that help me. What about for you? Like, when you're going through a rough patch or a moment, do you have things that you like implement and do, or just uncertainty and you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this? Like, what are
my Xbox?
Your Xbox.
I
didn't even know that. I do see you like playing the Xbox. I'm like, oh, she's on the game.
Because it's just muscle memory at this point. I've been playing since I've been walking. So just getting on an Xbox controller, it's definitely helped me. I try to get away with it and like not game and like just here and there. Like, I try to take that out because like I'm an adult now. I don't need to be playing games and stuff. But especially with the last job that I was with, like an hour to decompress on the Xbox does it for me. So the Xbox is back. Bought another one, and it's Xbox. Oh,
I didn't know that you bought another one.
Well, the white one is the newer one from my old version. So.
Got you. You mentioned briefly, and if you feel comfortable on it, I would like you to touch on it. You talked about your job.
Absolutely.
What was, you feel like, the determining factor or moving factor for you into transitioning out of that?
It was multiple things. First things first, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. They pushed me to do things I didn't even want to do, and some of the things I liked. Like, I got into your world a little bit with event planning. It wasn't that as bad as I thought it was when those phone calls that you would have had and tell me that you were so stressed out and this and the third. It's definitely stressful. I don't know if it's for me, but I can do it, which is great. That's one aspect of the job. Great relationships, friendships with people that I still talk to this day. Just want to talk about the positive.
Yes, of course.
First,
always got to keep it P.
But those aspects of the job were great, but I just kind of felt like it was occupying a lot of my time and space, and I became mentally and emotionally drained after not even doing things. There would be some days where I only had a couple of tasks in a day, and I would come home and feel so exhausted. And once you're at that point, it's kind of it's time to reevaluate some things. So it's definitely time for me to move on, and in the next season or the current season, I'm just trying to make sure anything that I do is very intentional. And trying to keep that at the forefront of everything. Even though it may not seem great. It seemed like amazing, and you need money and this, that, and the third, and all these factors, things to pay for. Like, you definitely should take all of that into consideration when it comes to going into a new season of your life, or a new job, or or just becoming a business owner in general from having a 9-to-5. It's definitely things that you definitely should take into consideration, and maybe that could even be a sacrifice as well, looking on the other end, like maybe taking a part-time job or part-time position, or staying with the job, but also knowing the factors of going into your new season and how you can take from those things. You kind of pointed on that already, but just piggybacking. But it was good.
Can you talk about this piece too, about what your previous employer said to you, as far as you as an individual and being at that workplace?
Which person? elaborate on it. It's so many things that I've told you.
I want to say it was a conversation that you had, and they talked about your creativity.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Shout out to you. I'm not gonna say no names, but if you see this, you probably know. Yeah, they said that I was basically too creative to be where I'm at. Yeah, that was literally that was it in a nutshell.
Yeah. But to me, like,
I was too creative to be there. Yeah. I brought a lot of creativity there, and a lot of I brought a different lens to the position because the previous person that was in the position as well was still there, and I feel like I definitely brought a new flair to it. And I'm social, so just different aspects of the job, and I was one of the only extroverts there too. So that probably put on a lot of things with the old job too that kind of mixed it up. But I was definitely too creative to be there.
I don't know, I just feel like if your employer says that you are too creative to be at a workplace, it's just like, that there's just something more for you.
No, that put the icing on it for sure.
No, seriously,
that put the icing on it.
Like the person that, and this is the employer, right?
Yeah,
the person that essentially hired you or brought you on or was over had the responsibility of overlooking you, told you that. Like, that is crazy to me. That is crazy to me. I want to touch on something that you said about how you kind of felt a little bit, drained, and you said there were some days that you were, it was slow. What I can say is, I'm not gonna say there's not days where I don't feel drained, but I can't say that I have felt the same since working for other people. Yeah.
It's probably such a different fulfillment when it comes to that.
My creativity is not limited. It's unlimited of that. Working in that,
you have the time to execute it.
I have the time to execute it. I can bring so many ideas. There's no, and this is a pro and a con for some people, but there's no overhead or someone telling you, nope, we're not doing that, or we're not going to make that happen. Like, you are literally answering to yourself. But that's like a pro and a con, because you're making all the decisions, and it's like, okay, what do you want to do? But wait, what do we usually do? What's protocol? No, that's what you set. Now, what do you want to do? And so that's an adjustment. And it comes with more responsibility. So you do have to ask yourself, are you ready for that responsibility as well? But
I just kind of want to touch on 9 to 5 too when it comes to like you translating that. Just like you said, there's a protocol for just about anything that can happen within the job,
like, or not. But
depending on jobs, like a typical 9 to 5 or at a firm, like a job like that is usually protocol. So like off rip, you should be thinking about like what those things look like for your business, like just the systems, the preferences, the way they do things, fire drills. What a fire drill look like for your business? Like these key terms and these key words and things that you use in your day-to-day life. Like a lot of it might not be positive. It might be dysfunctional depending on where you work at. But if some of those factors are good, definitely take that into account and just always be thinking about you. I think that's the advice that I would give a person. Always think about you and what you can take from it.
And I think absolutely what you can take for figuring out processes and things like that. I know, like, you were saying that you probably should be like working towards those things or figuring those items and things out. For me, that comes with hands-on like experience. Like there's things that I've experienced like in my business and I'm like, oh my gosh. And
it does. New things come up all the time.
Yes. And when they do come out, and I think that they are important enough to have something like built or written around them, I usually go ahead and write those things. But I'm a hands-on person, and it has to make sense, and then I will develop and work into those things. And I talked about like some of the training stuff as well, like getting through that, like developing processes and things for that, because I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And I watched this guy, and he talked in this video, and he was like, my employees aren't getting this. Okay, have you created a video on how they are supposed to execute whatever you're having an issue or problem with? And they're like, no. Okay, well, you don't have a standard for it. And so I've taken that and thought through those things, and every time that there's something that I'm creating for that. So I have all of these pieces that I can put together, and you can say, hey, this is how we move and operate inside of the business or the company. So that just came up when you mentioned that or brought those things up.
I think your last topic will be definitely really good. Sustaining motivation. I think that's something that you really could talk about, and kind of staying and maintaining and being positive when things around you don't look right. And
some of the dry seasons. Yeah.
Maintaining the motivation through that.
Yeah. Dry seasons are so real. And I think for just dry seasons in general, I don't want people to think that things are not happening or they're not moving for you in that season of where it's dry. I think you just can't see it right now.
Yeah.
I think you can't see what's being worked on, what's happening, and it's not always you. It could be the person that's connected to whatever your next season's going to look like while this season is dry. Or God is testing your faith. He wants to know, are you going to stand still in this season and still continue to do what you've been doing? Or are you going to jump out there and try to make decisions and operate and move on your own? And I think you really just have to be in tune with yourself and in your word in that season, because that can be challenging. When things are not moving for you, or you're in a space of where it's a dry season, I think you're reflecting so much. I think you're thinking, oh, did I make the right decision? Was I supposed to leave that job? Was I supposed to start this business? Was this supposed to unfold for me like this? And you start to question. And I think what people fail to realize is that the enemy also listens to you as well. So while you're having these doubts and things like that, if it's strong enough, I think it can come to the forefront of your mind, and I think you can really start to question some things. And then that's when your faith comes in. Are you going to trust God and what he told you in the beginning? Or are you going to revert to what may seem louder or more clearer to you as far as the negative pieces of this is not what you're supposed to be doing? I think there's a great example that goes along with this. It was a pastor who was preaching, and they were talking about, for example, your parents. And let's say you playing outside. Well, if you're playing outside, you're on a sidewalk, whatever, you're throwing the ball inside of the yard, in the yard, you're on, in the grass, whatever, on the sidewalk, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and playing outside, you're good. You may not hear anything from your parents. But the moment you walk out into the street and go and get that ball that fell out inside the street, I think you then hear from your parents. Hey, what are you doing? Come back. Come here. What are you doing? You're in the street. Get out of the street. There are cars that are coming, whatever. So I think we can take that same thing and apply it to our dry season. If we're not hearing anything from God, it doesn't mean that we're doing something wrong or that we're not where we're supposed to be. Maybe we're doing everything that we're supposed to be, but he's working on other things.
It's a great scenario.
Maybe your parents are preparing lunch or dinner for you.
Right.
And what's that? Lunch or dinner? That's next, right? You playing outside, whatever. It's time to come inside. It's time to eat. I got something more for you. So maybe he's preparing lunch or dinner for you while you're in that dry season.
Yeah. It's a great point.
So be faithful. And
there's always another side of the rainbow.
Yeah, there is. And you just have to switch. You have to switch the narrative. And when you do find times of where you're in doubt and you're just not sure and you're just, your mind is all over the place, because it happens. We're human. It's supposed to, it's going to happen to us. But come back. Come back to your faith. Step out of that street. Come back on the lawn. Continue to play, continue to do what you feel as though God has called you to do, and really tap into that and know that when it's time, he's going to call you to something. But he also could be testing your faith.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
you said that beautifully.
Thank you. It's challenging. It really is. And you're going to have your moments of, breaking down, emotional, whatever. Like, that's okay. And I think it also shows too, it shows God how passionate you are about it, how serious you are about it, when you are in your emotions and when you are in your feelings. And I promise you, he's like, I hear you. I just can't give you what it is yet. I'm working on some other things before I can give it to you. Another scenario that I heard from a pastor, right? If he talked about his son. Mm-hmm. And he said, if I give my son, 5-year-old son, if I give my 5-year-old son keys to a car and I say, hey, go drive to the store, they're like, okay, cool, let's drive. They're excited, right? And they're going to drive to the store, but they're going to crash that car. A 5-year-old is going to crash that car because you're not supposed to be driving. If you're 16, 17, and you understand and you have the ability and mental capacity to get in that car and now take those keys, and you've learned all the things that you needed to learn, now you can drive to the store successfully and come back because you're ready for that. So sometimes he's preparing things, or time needs to happen so he can shape and mold us into being able to drive that car and take that car down the street.
Right. Might not be prepared for everything that you're going towards right at that moment.
Yeah, and that can be a beautiful car just for you.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready for it, why is he going to give that to you? He loves you way too much to give you those items and things if you're going to fumble them, if you're going to drop them, if it's going to crash. He's not going to give you more than you can handle.
Yeah.
So be okay in your waiting season and know that he wants the absolute best for you. He's going to put you in the best position, but you have to trust him and you have to have faith. And that is also to just switching the narrative and the mindset of he's working for me. He's doing it, and I'm going to show out and work for him. When it is time, you are not going, I just hit my nose on the mic. You are not going to be able to shut me up about God and what he's like. You can't shut me up now. I would just, and I don't even know where it comes from. It just comes on out. Word vomit. It's going to be nonstop because he's amazing and has kept me in so many ways. And that is how I stay.
Faithful mustard seed.
Yeah. Really small. Really small.
Yeah. A lot of people had a little bit of faith and it took them universes behind.
Yeah. And you want to know how it's confirmation that you're doing the right thing and what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
He keeps giving you small things.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts you in rooms and places to where your gifts and talents are blessing other people.
Yep.
That's how you know what you're supposed to be doing. And if people are unsure and they're not, oh my gosh, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? He keeps putting you in front of the right people that you can help and bless.
Mm-hmm. Or put you around people that you probably not even looking to gain anything from them.
Yeah.
And they're giving you, leave a conversation or you leave a scenario and you've learned so much probably within a little amount of time. And
yeah.
Stuff is not coincidental at all.
It's not. It's it all comes back to a bigger picture. There was something I realized this week and it was mind-boggling. Like, and it's so simple, but it made sense of why things weren't panning out to the way that they were. I can introduce those things, but it made sense. And sometimes it'll happen that way for you. You don't know why it's a no. You don't know why it's not making sense. You don't know why the dots are not connecting when you feel strongly about it. But maybe you haven't looked at all of your resources and options and it's actually right in front of you. You just wasn't aware that it was right in front of you. But you feel strongly about it. It's what you're supposed to be doing, but it's just not all making sense. It's not making sense your way. It makes sense his way. So if it doesn't make sense to you, lean into him more and allow him to reveal those things to you. Yeah.
Pastor Trey.
Yeah.
Pastor Trey. Preacher.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It is so crazy. But it's not all peaches and creams either. It's definitely obstacles and things that come into that.
Yeah. If you don't have anything else, hold on to faith. Walk out on faith.
Yeah.
Start the business on faith. Maintain it through faith. And the end result will be fruitful.
Yeah. This is true. This is true. And as I've been like pursuing this thing, and I think I even talked to you about it, like I went back to like the way beginning in the Bible, and it talked about like it being no plants or anything, like just nothing, just bare. And as the rain came after, there were shrubs and trees and things of these nature. And what I took from that was, before anything comes to life, there's going to be rain.
Yeah.
And I think we associate rain with it being like dark and gloomy and just like, you know, whatever. Well, that's okay. Because in the dark and gloomy, I think after, like you said, comes fruit, comes trees and plants and things. Like you gain all these things after that. So even in your season of where it feels dark and gloomy and it feels like it's raining, it might be raining, but you might have just been planted so you can grow. So it being dark and gloomy and it raining is not all bad. There's something happening. And in that time of it raining, it could be giving you rest. It could be preparing you for what is about to come, because there might not be no rest after the rain is done. You might be full force. You be like, man, I wish I would have took that time instead of doing all that stressing and worrying about what was going to happen and how it was going to come into fruition. And here it is. And now I got to go to work. So.
Yeah. Very deep stuff.
It is very deep. It is very deep. So rely on your faith. But you do have to come down sometimes so you can be built up. One of the scenarios that we have on our timeline, with knowing the future outcomes of our efforts, always be beneficial, or could it sometimes lead to discouragement? What do you think?
Knowing the future outcomes of our efforts be beneficial or sometimes lead to discouragement? That's an interesting one. So like knowing
what's gonna happen.
You
think that'd be encouraging, or you think it'd be like discouraging?
Oh no, not discouraging. I think it'll be encouraging. Well, I mean, always, you know, I say perception, but I feel like if you show what can become, then I feel like someone would probably work 10 times harder to get to it.
Yeah.
Now, if you show a bad stage of that, it depends on what you're looking at in the future.
Yeah.
Now, if you're seeing a win, then that's going to motivate you.
Yeah.
But if you're seeing a loss, a great disparity loss, then it might discourage someone.
Yeah. I don't like being surprised.
Yeah, I know that.
I don't like being surprised. So I definitely think that whatever it is that's there, I probably would find that as encouraging. But I also too, like, I don't want to spoil it either. Like, it's just like when people are like talking about their favorite show or something that was really good, I'm like, hey, don't tell me, because I want to watch it for myself and I want to figure it out for myself of what the ending could possibly be.
Right.
But I think the beautiful part is that even our endings and what we think they're going to be, I think it's so much more than what he has in mind. Not our...
I get what you're saying. Yeah, his ending
is so much more than what we originally had in mind. So it's like I would, but I wouldn't. I think I would find it encouraging, but at the same time, like, I want to work towards that.
But then also it could be like a surprise of how you get there too.
Yeah,
he's not showing you the full movie. He's just showing you the end.
Yeah.
And the ending credits. So like,
but I feel like he already shows us glimpses and pieces.
Yeah.
I feel like in our imagination, in our creativity, he shows us different glimpses and pieces of what it's supposed to be. Maybe through actual
dreams. Yeah. Like, it's just different ways. Yeah. Signs. Yeah. You may feel connectivity towards something specific. Yeah. It might align with your end goal.
Yep. Imagination is a preview to life's coming attractions.
Ooh. Where you get that from?
It's a quote. Who said that? Was it Albert Einstein? I think it was.
Someone said a cool quote.
It is
dreams versus reality, but yeah, I just think that it really just depends on the person. Would I probably want to see it? No, I probably wouldn't want to see what the end result of all of what I am doing.
It was Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. You know he's like black, right?
What?
Yeah, look it up. Ooh, you're right. I might be a little bit of a historian.
She is a historian.
Yeah. Is Albert Einstein black? And see what happens when it comes up. Like Google is like knows everything. Google got some competition. We need to talk about that. ChatGPT is a little competition for the Google girlies. What do you say?
It just comes up with so many. But yeah.
But other than that fact,
yeah,
he said that cool quote about dreams.
Anything else that you got?
Nope.
Oh wait, so. Let me leave you guys with a quote.
Oh, he wants to leave you guys with a quote.
It's not really a quote. It's more like a statement, but I want you to think about it. This year, I met the most broken version of me, but also the strongest.
I like that.
And that is so real.
Yeah, I like that.
So real. I did. And it's kind of what that post that I shared with you after we finished filming the other day. And it's just you want to learn what type of person you are, start a business. You learn about your finances. You learn about your relationships, how you talk to people, how you treat people. You'll just learn so many things about yourself. And I think in that season of coming down and building up, you're stripped of so many things, so many pieces, and your faith has to be 10 times as strong. You have to grow closer to God. So I do truly feel like this year, it was a combination of both of those things for me.
Deep stuff, man. Deep stuff.
Yep.
I love the dichotomy of things. I love quotes like that.
Yeah.
Cause just like you said, when we weren't filming, like we kind of asked questions that provoke more deeper thought. When you're looking at a aspect or a time in your life when you are the strongest yet the most shallow, I think that's like the best time for reflection.
Yeah. But
a lot of people don't. A lot of people shy away from it. They feel weird.
Yeah.
That's where anxiety comes from.
I feel weak.
You feel weak.
Yeah.
Anxiety comes from that because you don't know which direction you're being pulled into. If you're pulling to be in a more depressed state or in a more happier state.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things come when you're in those uncomfortable spaces that people don't talk about. Like, we know how we get there, but like, what do we do once we are there?
Yeah.
I think this episode was a great example and a lot of great things that people can take away for that time.
Yeah. And you know why you feel that way of you don't know what direction
the
it is that you're going, the uncertainty. You feel that way is because you're so connected with God and you don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what the next move is going to be. And that's how it should be. It literally should be you taking steps and not knowing if the next step is there and if you're going to fall. That is what faith looks like. Literally walking up steps and not knowing if that next piece of wood or brick is there for you to take your next step. That's what it literally looks like. And that's why it flows like that, because you never know. God is unpredictable. You never know what he's going to do. You have a feeling or idea. Like I've been saying for the last like week or two, something's coming. I don't know what it is, but it is coming. And I'm sure I will call Jada and say, hey, remember I was telling you that something's coming? This is what just happened.
Right.
I can feel it. I literally have chills right now. I can feel it. But it's not knowing.
Being grateful in those times.
Absolutely.
Too. Being grateful in those times.
Absolutely.
That's just another big thing that I feel like a lot of people should practice.
Absolutely.
Whether you have the strongest relationship with God or your religion or the weakest, I feel like just being grateful in those dark times, those dark times usually 95% of the time equate to a better experience on the other side.
Yeah.
So just always maintain that gratefulness of whatever you're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's business aside. That's just in life in general. Anything that is not going your way, just be grateful in that time.
Yeah, you definitely have to be grateful.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to touch on more on being grateful in episode 12. Oof.
Yeah.
Anything else you got?
That's everything.
All right. Well, that's all that I have, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Whether you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you guys rate the podcast. Leave us a review. What do you think about the podcast? Are you loving it? What do you want to see? We want to hear from you all. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening. And it's been another episode of TJ's Child's Play podcast. Peace.